Whoopi has gone mad as they try to defend Hunter Biden, and watch how many times they end up admitting that he's guilty, guilty, guilty. They're practically arguing with themselves. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where the happy patriots are. Let's have some fun.
But, yesterday, the House Republicans, poor things, public enemy number one, Hunter Biden, spoke out to defend the attacks on his family and make his case about testifying in public rather than behind closed doors. Take a look.
In the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances.
This is the Biden's big plan of poor Hunter the addict. That's the excuse for everything. It's their get out of jail free card. It's like, we didn't do anything. It's all Hunter. He's crazy addicted.
There's no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen.
He did not show up for the investigation. And that's what they're investigating, is to find out if it happened. And they have their ideas because there's lots of evidence out there. But it's very hard to find the evidence when you have the Department of Justice doing a massive cover-up through David Weiss, that is Merrick Garland's chief prosecutor, who's been covering up for Hunter Biden.
So when the House Republicans were asked to explain exactly why they were voting to start an impeachment inquiry into the president, they just seemed to have a hard time with this. Take a look.
What is the specific constitutional crime that you're investigating?
Well, we're having an inquiry, so we can do an investigation and control the production of witnesses.
And what is the crime you're investigating?
And documents. High crimes, misdemeanors, and bribery.
What high crime and misdemeanor are you investigating?
So the Republican answers his question. High crimes and misdemeanors. This is an impeachable offense. And he goes, but what crimes? Well, we just gave you one. What's a high crime and misdemeanor? You don't like the answer doesn't mean he didn't answer.
Did you have about 5 years to check out what you were going to...
They had 5 years on Hunter Biden, but David Weiss under Merrick Garland sat on all of these investigations. He eternally investigated until the statute of limitations ran out on most of the most egregious Hunter Biden lack of paying taxes. There's all kinds of his crimes that they cannot prosecute now because of the statute of limitations.
Listen, you can say a lot of things about the Democrats, but they knew what they were going in for.
Yeah.
High crimes and misdemeanors. You couldn't name one.
High crime, high crime and misdemeanor. They named one. And they had 5 years to do it, but it was blocked. That's what this whole thing is about. These people are not paying attention.
The Biden impeachment investigation isn't a whodunit. It's a what is it? It's like an Agatha Christie novel where the mystery is, what's the crime? And that gets very tedious very fast. And he's absolutely right. It's not the way that you prosecute cases. It's not the way that you investigate cases.
No, it was a massive cover-up. That's why it's not a what's the crime. It's a where's the crime, because it's being buried and hidden.
I personally think Hunter Biden should have complied with the congressional subpoena.
Correct. He's guilty of that. That's not a big, risky statement to say he should comply with a subpoena. Would any one of us get away with blowing off a subpoena? No.
Hunter Biden, yes, I think he's engaged in corruption. I do think that the charges against him by the Department of Justice are very serious. I have not seen one shred of evidence that it's tied to Joe Biden.
Okay, here's the shred of evidence that's tied to Joe Biden. Here's a $200,000 check written from Sarah and James Biden to Joseph R. Biden for $200,000. And down at the bottom, it says for a loan repayment, though there's no evidence, there's no record of a loan. So it's not being repaid. This is a payout in March of 2018. That's evidence, Miss Griffin. Here's another check. This one's for $40,000. Again, from the Bidens. Now you have hard evidence. So keep saying you have no evidence that it's tied to Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's crime is being Hunter Biden's father and being Hunter Biden's very loving father, very good father, very supportive father.
Well, it is true that his crime is being the son of Joe Biden because he was peddling influence of his daddy, because no one wanted to hire this drug addict who had no experience with dealing with Ukraine, with Russia, with China. He had no business expertise that they would want to pay for other than he was Joe Biden's son. So correct. Now, on calling him a loving daddy, Joe Biden, I don't know of a parent in the world that would exploit their son's drug addiction to use it as a cover up so that there's all excuses are covered with that, saying, look, he's a crazy addicted son. No parent is loving enough to exploit their kid the way Jill Biden and Joe Biden did.
Did Hunter Biden influence peddle on his last name? Yes, he did.
Thank you. The View just now nailed the whole thing. He influence peddled on his last name that is access to Joe Biden. There's no other reason to pay Hunter Biden, and The View just admitted it. Guilty. They're arguing against themselves. Thanks for providing evidence against yourself, Anna.
Did Hunter Biden cheat on his taxes? Yes, he did.
Guilty. Cheated on his taxes, but covered up by the Department of Justice so the statute of limitations could run out on his the worst crimes.
Did he use his last name to make money? Did he monetize on Joe Biden's last name? Yes, he did.
Again, guilty. Thank you, Anna. Admitting guilt. That's what this whole thing is about. So the Republicans have a case.
That's not a crime.
It's a high crime and misdemeanor if Joe Biden, who made money, you saw the checks made out already, that's hard evidence, and they were peddling his name and his influence. They have Joe Biden going to lunch with members of the Chinese Communist Party, and then hours later deciding things in their favor. Same thing with Ukraine.
Hunter Biden is an addict. I've had it in my family. It is a constant suffering for the family.
No, it's not a constant suffering for the Bidens. They love it. They use it to cover up for their son. They wish he was still addicted.
They are trying to get Hunter Biden to go back into addiction because they know that will paralyze Joe Biden.
No, it will help Joe Biden. She's saying the Republicans are trying to get Hunter Biden back into addiction. And that is insane, of course, and a really bad take, because all the evidence shows that his addiction has benefited the Bidens by being the catch-all excuse.
Things when he was an addict, but enough is enough, and they are being cruel, and they are going after him just because he is Joe Biden's son.
It's a waste of time. The ceremonial procedures they're doing here, investigate. By all means, if you find things in crime, go for it. I don't mind.
They're trying to investigate. They're trying to subpoena Hunter Biden to get information, but it's blocked. They're trying to get eyewitness testimony, but the DOJ is blocking it, covering it up through David Weiss and Merrick Garland. You're making the Republicans' case.
It's like, guys, 5 years, 7 years you had. You can't even find a laptop now.
Whose fault is that, Whoopi?
Dad, we have a problem. I left my laptop at the repair shop. And Joe looks at him and says, "What's on it, son? What's on it?" And Hunter looks back and he says, "Every single crime that you've ever committed, Dad."
I hope you guys will subscribe if you like this kind of material, because we're going to be burning The View all through 2024. I'm Doug in exile.